I'm in too much emotional pain, she explained to her best friend Gemma that evening over her third huge glass of Pinot Noir. The presence of Pinot Noir and the pairs of what were most likely Prada shoes scattered haphazardly across the parquet floor of Gemma's Soho apartment were oddly reassuring. For once, Daisy didn't envy her friend her wealth and beauty, or the breast that entered the room before she did without the aid of silicone. That's an interesting way of putting it. Gemma curled her feet under the hem of a chic white bathrobe with its discreet Harrods logo embroidered on the breast pocket. No, Daisy chided herself, don't think breast. It'll only make you envious. She was too sad to be envious. Plus, Daisy said, I'm intolerant with everyone and everything. I like people normally. She paused. Mostly. Gemma cupped Daisy's right cheek in the palm of her cool hand. You need to stop giving yourself such a hard time, love. What you're feeling right now is okay. Really. Quite normal. Daisy sniffed, felt tears begin to prickle, and noisily blew her nose with a tissue. It's not as though I actually liked Andrew that much. And that makes me feel guilty too. Were you going to dump him? Gemma sparkled when it came to matters of relationship difficulty. She adored the drama. Slumping back on the couch and putting her feet in Gemma's lap, she said, maybe I was. I don't know. He could be really sweet, but he was too focused on his job, and I think he admired his boss more than me. Hero worshipped him, actually. So? Gemma spoke slowly, as though choosing her words with great care. He was making some kind of statement when he hung himself off his boss's balcony. Oh, it was an accident, Daisy whinged. An accident? Edward Carver's balcony had a spectacular fourth-floor view of Canary Wharf. I mean, the balcony railing was shoulder-high, so it would have taken a spectacularly strange set of circumstances to lead Daisy's latest boyfriend to necking himself the length of computer cable. The cable had been looped around Andrew's neck, the balcony rail, and in turn wound several times around the leg of the massive mahogany desk in Carver's office. The cable was fibre optic, with tough plastic sheathing, so it would have taken a chainsaw to cut it. Her previous boyfriend, Derek Lemaistre, had drowned in a puddle barely 6 inches deep. He'd been drunk at the time, certainly, but one would think that falling face first into a pool created by a missing paving stone in Daisy's garden would have shocked him awake. She'd only discovered the body the next morning. Evidently he'd been staggering around in the dark to besiege Daisy's house and profess his undying love for her. Well, he must have just tripped and fallen. Before that, there had been Frank. Slipped in a shower, brain matter all over the tiles. And before him, Ian. Freak cooking accident. Ian was addicted to French fries, heated the oil with the pan lid closed, lifted lid, air and boiling oil go boom, house and owner crisped. No, too much to think about. I mean, too horrible, really. Daisy repeatedly banged the back of her head against Gemma's fluffy satin cushions. After a minute or two of soft self-punishment, she said, "Oh, God, Gems, What's wrong with me? Apart from being haunted, you mean? Daisy lowered her chin sheepishly. Well, yeah, apart from that, yeah. Nothing, honey. You need cheering up, that's all. Was crouched on the cooker hob when she got back to the flat. Because she hadn't put the light on right away, she'd glimpsed him through the kitchen doorway. He had that pale peach, translucent glow about him that she always found so unpleasant. After opening the front door, she'd moved through her 3 rooms quickly, throwing on all the light switches as she went. As soon as she felt able, she'd braved the kitchen, where darling Derek had been waiting for her to get home. The fluorescent ceiling strips blasted away his otherworldly aura, giving Derek the appearance of the solidity he'd had in life. Apart from squatting on the cooker thing and the unnerving light of his bare feet hovering a couple of inches above the hob. Must you do that, Derek? She chided. You know I hate it. Whoops, said Derek, noticing his feet for the first time. Sorry, forgot. I was curious about Ian's accident, that's all. What a fucking moron. Mind you, his was a gas hob and not like yours, which is much safer. Derek uncurled from his squatting position and took a step off the edge of the cooker. But instead of crashing to earth, he floated feather-light down until his feet gently touched the ground, or at least gave the appearance of touching. It was an illusion, of course, for Daisy's benefit, since her ex-boyfriend's incorporeal form could pass through walls and floors as easily as if they were made of smoke. He always had been thoughtful that way, always doing things to please her rather than himself, which had gotten tiresome after a while. You okay, Daisy? He asked. Brushing past him, if you can brush past something that isn't actually there, Daisy switched on the electric kettle and started preparing herself a cup of black sugarless coffee. Before she could summon up the energy to reply, a voice from the ceiling said, "Who you calling a moron, fuckwit?" Ian was visible to his waist. He poked upside down through the ceiling, just off to the left of the strip light, arms folded. He scowled at Derek. "Oh, Jesus," Daisy breathed. Looking up, she snapped, "Can't you guys just leave me in peace once in a while? I mean, I can't recall inviting you in at any point." "Not strictly true, Daisy," said Derek, who was now sitting sensibly on a stool at the breakfast bar, or at any rate giving the appearance of sitting. It was more structured floating. "See, you have to invite your ghosts. There are rules. Maybe it was subconscious. Maybe you just missed us and wished us back." Daisy said, "Yeah, of course I did, boys. I mean, you were the best in every way. Loving, attentive. You appreciated me, gave me support. I mean, did I miss anything?" "Good in the sack?" Ian offered from above. Oh, yeah, right. Oh, and how could I forget?" Ian sniffed. "Do I detect a note of irony in your voice?" Daisy shook her head, and in her best fake orgasm voice squealed, "Oh, God, Derek, do me harder. Oh, fuck, baby, you're so big." Derek, perhaps subconsciously, crossed his legs and self-consciously covered his crotch with his hands. Ian slithered down from the ceiling like an anaconda uncurling from a tree. Righting himself and standing beside Derek, he said, "Well, at least we don't peek at you undressing." Derek gave Ian a sheepish glance and, well, if a ghost could blush, he would have. "Derek, you bloody creep!" And with that, Daisy turned on her heel and stomped off to the living room, adding, "I want you both out of here! Now!" "I assume that doesn't include me." Frank was stretched out on the couch, ankles crossed. Unlike Derek, his discorporeal form was greenish, with streaks of yellow whirling through it. Fairly disgusted now, Daisy sat on Frank's head, which reappeared in her lap, where he'd been so fond of putting it when he was still of this earth. Except his face was usually turned the other way and not technically in her lap. "Please tell me those are not Marks and Spencer's basics you're wearing." Frank had been fond of black lace knickers on her, but in his absence she was happiest with plain white cotton. "Frank, as of now, you're definitely included. So kindly sod off, will you?" Ears clamped between her thighs, grinned and disappeared. Like a Cheshire, his grin was the last of him to go. Daisy gritted her teeth and gave a quiet, growly sort of a scream, rubbed her face vigorously with her palms, and threw herself deeper into the soft back of the couch. After a minute or two, regaining her composure, she said aloud, "Wine. Need more wine."